Hello, I'm Amanda Whewell and welcome to week 6 of our World Art for World Kindness Day with High Peak Community Arts. I hope you're enjoying it so far. Last week we were in Australia looking at some Aboriginal art by Emily Kungmorai, and this week we're back to England and we're looking at Patrick Heron. Patrick Heron's one of my favourite artists. He does a lot of huge, bright, colourful abstract work, but before doing the abstract work he did quite a lot of still life, so we're going to have a look at both of those today. He was born in Leeds and then went to live in London with his family, and he designed silk scarves for his dad's company. That was when he was still at school, I think, definitely a teenager. But he spent most of his life living in Cornwall, in a cliff-top house called Eagle's Nest, which was just near St Ives. And it was in a very open, exposed position, but it had an incredible garden up on the rocky cliffs. Like a lot of the artists that we've looked at, he painted what he saw around him. He was inspired by his house, his garden, the sea and the rugged cliffs. In a lot of his paintings he likes to show the inside as well as the outside, and we're going to have a look at that later on. He's an abstract artist again, so his work is a reaction to a real experience, and he paints what he sees and what he feels, but it's not a true representation, it's not very realistic. Some of his paintings are huge, they're over 4 metres, 4 yards wide, and he wanted every single part of the painting to be important, so he always completely covered the canvases, and he particularly paid attention to the edges, so he paints around the edges. I think that's all we need to know now. I'm going to carry on with the demonstration and we'll have a look at some of his work and talk a bit more about how he worked and make some art ourselves. So I'll see you in a minute at the demonstration. Okay, so this week you will need your sketchbook or some paper. You'll also need coloured paper in there. You'll need your pencil and your pen, a pair of scissors. You'll need some glue, little pot to put the glue in, cocktail stick to spread it with, something to get the glue out the pot, and you'll also need your colouring pencils, felt pens, wax crayons, eraser, pencil sharpener, all bits and pieces for colouring. So that's what you need. I'm going to put these down over here and we'll get started. So let's have a look at this painting by Patrick Heron. This it's a massive painting and the colours are really bright and bold, and seeing it in real life is quite different to seeing it on a piece of printout like this or online. But this is what we've got to work with, so let's have a look. It's called 3 Reds in Green and Magenta in Blue. So there's 3 reds in a green background and there's magenta in a blue background. It was painted in April 1970 in Cornwall, where Patrick lived. The title describes exactly what you see in the painting. 3 reds in green, magenta in blue. But what do you think might have inspired this painting? I'm not going to tell you that, that's for you to think about. And you might get more of an idea of what inspired it while we do this next activity. Now this is a painting, but we're going to have a go at creating something in this style using collage. So you'll need your coloured paper. Get my coloured paper. I'm just going to put this over here for now. You'll need your scissors. We're going to tear as well. You'll also need a pencil. Now on the PDF sheet, which you can download, there's a picture here of a design sheet from one of Patrick Heron's sketchbooks. And we're going to start off in our sketchbook by creating something like this. So to make those little sketches, he's looked at things around him in his house or in his garden, and he's created them, he's reduced them down to simple shapes. So I'm just going to do a few on this page. I might just do 3. You could do 3 or 4, you could do 6, just rough little squares. If you want to be neat, you can use a ruler, that's fine. And I'm going to think about my garden. So I'm going to think about my front garden. In the corner there's a holly bush, so it's a big ruggedy old holly bush. I'm going to make a shape for the holly bush. In front of the holly bush there's 2 beds where I grow vegetables, so I'm going to put one of them's very triangle like that. Those 2 shapes there. Along here there's some bushes. There's some raspberries and some red currants. Down here there's a wall which goes down into next door's garden. And along here there's another flower bed where I grow salad and herbs, and that's on 2 layers, so I'm going to put that in. So I've used really simple shapes there, thinking about my front garden. It doesn't actually look like a picture of the garden, but if you imagine a sort of bird's eye view looking down on it, they're the sort of shapes that you would get. So I could also think about inside my living room, for instance. So I've got a fireplace here. I could put a shape in for the fireplace. I've got TV there. I've got a big rug on the floor. In the middle of the rug I've got a coffee table. I've got a chair here and a chair here. There's a door here. I could put a place for the door opening. So again, it's just shapes, really basic shapes, imagining that you're looking down on something and just the shape that it takes on the floor. So I've made a few here, different ones. These are some from my back garden. I've chosen this one here to make into a collage. So if I just lift these pages up, you can see here I've used that and turned it into a collage, which I think looks along the same style as the Patrick Heron painting. So I'm going to go back to this page here, and I'm going to choose this one this time of the back garden and try and make that into a collage here. Now you might not have the right colours for the things, that doesn't matter, just use whatever colours you have. Now one of the things we talked about Patrick Heron doing was that he liked to really include the edges. So I'm going to change this a little bit by taking that edge so I've got things actually touching the edge there. You could start with a coloured background if you want to, so you could put a piece of paper down as a coloured background to start with. So I'll use that piece of blue. Now we're going to cut some pieces and tear some pieces. I'm going to do this holly bush next, and I'm going to use this beige colour. It would be really nice, you might have some magazines, you could use pages from magazines, you know, with patterns on to do the collage if you want to, or bright coloured pages if you haven't got coloured paper. So I'm putting that there and I'm putting it right up to the edge, so I've got the edge of the painting in. Now I'm going to do the bushes down here where I've got my fruit growing. I'm going to tear again for this, and I'm going to use the other piece of this paper to tear a rough shape, and I want that corner to fit on there this time, so it takes it right down to the bottom. So we're using the whole edge. So I've got those 2 pieces in. I'm going to choose another colour now, and I'm going to look at this piece going across here. So if I imagine this is the shape of the page, I just need to cut a piece off that corner and use that for something else, and then cut another piece, a strip going across, and that will fit on there. So that's the wall where it goes down to next door's garden. And now I'm going to put this piece in across here, this bit where I grow the herbs, I'm just going to cut this. I'm going to cut it at a bit of an angle this time. And I'm going to cut it across there. I'm going to leave that like that, fill that corner in. If I want to put that line in, I could just cut a little bit from another colour. Let's tear a bit, might not be quite long enough, but I'm going to tear another bit from this beige piece. I'm going to tear both sides so they match. And I'm going to put that in there. So I've got 3 layers there. I've got the blue hidden by the pink, hidden by that. And then I've got these 2 central pieces. I could use the same colour, but I've got some green here. So they're going to be maybe a bit smaller. I'm going to start just by tearing off a piece of green paper. And I want a bit that's going to fit in there. So let's cut that piece. I'm going to cut this so I can fit it in there. Remember how we curved the edges? I'm curving the edges there. Got that, and then a triangle piece to go in front of it. It's going to be a little bit different to my original design, the shape, but it's still got all the things that I've got in my front garden. Let's see if that will fit in there. I might just tear that edge. So there I've got my collage, and if I'm looking down on my front garden, I've used 4 colours, haven't I? But you could do it in just 1 colour. You could use, like I say, you could use newspaper or magazines. When you've got your pieces all in the right places, then you need to glue them on. Again, we're going to use a cocktail stick because we don't want to have too much glue. Too much glue just makes a mess. Things get wet, they don't stick. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue into my lid. Put that lid back on the glue, and it might take you a while with the big pieces. You could use your paintbrush if you want to spread your glue on your big pieces, but just use the side of the stick to spread it very thinly. You need to work quite quickly so the glue doesn't dry before you stick it down, but by working quickly it will stick straight away and it won't make a soggy mess. So there's, I won't bother gluing the others on, you've got the idea. So start off, is it this way? No, all my collage is going to fall apart when I move. Let's move it carefully to there. I can stick that down later. Start off with a few little designs, thinking of things, your house or your garden, or if you haven't got a garden, you know, out on your street, you could have cars down the side of a road. Anything that's close to you that you can look at and just imagine the shapes, and then translate it into collage. Use some cutting and some tearing. You get different kinds of edges. And then try and think of a title for your piece of art. It could be a very simple title like Patrick Heron's art, or it could be the name of the room it's in, whatever. So that's your first activity. The next one, we're going to look at something quite different. Now I've got, where is it here? It's still Patrick Heron. This is a painting of his. I'm just going to tidy up my bits, called Kitchen at Night. So again, the title tells you exactly what it is. This time it's far more realistic. It's more figurative. It's an earlier painting. This one was painted in 1950s, and it's a view from his window, from his kitchen window. It's night time, so it's dark outside, but you can see different colours in the sky. You can see there's something lit up there, things catching the light. And then you can see the kitchen sink and the taps, and if that's the sink, or if there's a towel hanging down the table, something in the middle of the table. Could be a plant, could be a sculpture, it could be a jug with knives and forks in, whatever, but it's still a little bit abstract, but you can see what it is. It's a painting of the kitchen at night. And this is one of those paintings that we talked about earlier, where he liked to show the inside and the outside. So we can see out through the window and we can see into the kitchen. So the next activity is a drawing activity. So you'll need your pencil. You might want your beryl pen, the black pen. There's a lot of black. This is obviously a painting again. A lot of black in this. You might want to do some black outlines before you colour it using the pen. And really this is up to you. Find a window in your house and have a look out of it and see what you can see. So if I look out of the window in the room I'm in now, in my little workroom, it's quite a long thin window like this. I live in an old house, so the windows are all set in, so I'm just going to make it so you're looking down into the window. I've got a windowsill there. I've got a blind in here, but I've got the blind pulled right up, so the blind is along here, but it's pulled right up, so it's layered a bit like that. There's my blind. I've got old sash windows, so I'm going to put the sash window in. There's the bottom one, and there's a little catch on there for undoing the window. There's little hooks here that for pulling up the bottom window. Let's put those in. And looking outside, I've got lots of trees outside. This is the front garden where there's a holly bush that we just drew. It's a really big holly bush. I can see a house across there, so I'm just going to put that house in. Can see some windows, and then there's some more trees in front of it. If I look up here, I can see hills in the background, and I can see some clouds in the sky. So I've got quite a big scene going on outside this window. Inside there's not much. All I've got on the windowsill there is my mug of tea that I had earlier, and my glasses case there with a button on. They've got a nice pattern case. That's all I can see on the inside. So it could be something like that. Earlier I did a quick sketch of my lounge window, which is quite different because this one's really busy. I've got blinds down here, so I've started drawing some little dragonflies on because there's a dragonfly pattern on them, but that's a blind, so you can't see out of the top window. Outside here I've got a window box with some plants growing in it, and behind that I've got a currant bush growing. But this is very busy inside. I've got a little ornament there, I've got a candle, I've got a vase of flowers, I've got some little gargoyles on the wall here next to the window. There's a cabinet here it actually has the skybox in it. I've got a lamp on that cabinet. There's a stool down here with a cushion that's showing up. So this one is showing you a lot more of the inside. That one's showing you a lot of the outside. So have a go, do some really quick sketches and choose one you like and have a go at your version of the kitchen at night. So it could be the living room in the daytime, or whatever, and think of a title for it. So that's your second activity. Sorry, when you've finished drawing it, colour it in. Use your felt pens, your coloured pencils, your wax crayons, like we mixed them earlier on in the series with the Sonia Delaunay drawing, and with the Frida Kahlo. Mix your materials to get your colours. You could paint it if you've got plenty of paint left, but we do need paint next week. For our last week is printing, so we need paint for that. So I hope you enjoy that activity. If you are enjoying Patrick Heron, the final activity is one where we're going to combine the two things, and I'm just going to show you one more painting. This one is from the 1980s, so we started off in the 70s, went back to the 50s. This is in the mid-80s, and this is called Red Garden. And although this is a painting, I think this would work really well by mixing your collage techniques that we did in the first activity here with the painting or drawing and colouring that we did in the other one. So I think this is like looking down on a garden in a park or something, and you can see the flower beds. There's lots of yellow flowers there. There's perhaps a little tree or something growing at the edge, which is showing its image there. So you could put some basic shapes in with your collage and then paint around it. So again, it's quite abstract, but I love this garden image, and I just imagine walking along these little paths and seeing all the flowers. So I'm not going to help you anymore with that. If you're enjoying Patrick Heron, have a go at mixing the collage and the drawing. So you make your collage and then add your drawing to it. Okay, I think that's it for Patrick Heron. Well, I hope you enjoyed working in the style of Patrick Heron, and lots of stuff there that you can carry on with and do some more work in your own time if you've enjoyed it. That's all for this week. Next week was the final week, and we're off to Japan to look at some printing by Hokusai. So I'll see you next week.